Pledge allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first up is the consent agenda. Everybody look it over. Need a motion to approve consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
I'll second. Okay. Got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carried. Okay, our first scheduled session is Carbon Summit Carbon Solutions. Riley Gibson,
That
that's
is
you?
me. I have some handouts for y'all. Is that okay if I
Yeah,
pass it around
sure.
to you? Okay. Yeah, my name's Riley Gibson. I work for Turnkey Logistics doing non-environmental permitting, and but I represent Summit Carbon Solutions, and I'll give you all a quick update and
Okay,
explain some of the things in the packet, and then if y'all have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Would either of y'all like one of these?
The auditor.
Oh,
Yeah, we're going to make sure we get one in the file,
perfect.
if Mitch doesn't.
Okay, yeah, I'll start out by just giving you a rundown of where we're at. We're still expecting to start construction in this summer, late this summer. We hope that doesn't get pushed too far. A lot of it depends. We're still hoping on getting our IUB permit approved early this summer. So once that hits off, I'm sure wheels will be turning, and we'll be working pretty hard to get construction going. Last time we were here, was 8/30 of last year. Our easement, we were at 70% voluntary easements, or easement miles acquired in the county last time I was here on 8/13. As of January 4th of this year, we currently sit at 84.85% or 21.36 easement miles acquired in the county. So we're making some pretty good progress there. I'm sure that's gonna keep moving now that the holidays are over. Everybody's hitting the ground running, so hopefully next time we come by, that number's jumped up even more. So we're happy to see that. For the state right now, as we sit, we're at 61.83% or 423.3 easement miles acquired as of January 4th. So, so far to date in the county, we've spent over $4.4 million on easements to acquire them from the landowner. And the state, we spent over $115 million. Me and Mr. John, we were just talking, we had got our road crossing permit application submitted, and it's currently under a field review. I'd be happy to discuss that if y'all would like to after this as well. Next will probably be driveways, and so that's mainly my job. My role with the company is to submit road crossing permits, driveway crossing permits, but I can help answer any other question as well. Also, we're also still kind of looking for volunteer opportunities in the community. We're just based out of Ames, Iowa, so our big push is to help out where we can. So if y'all have any ideas, I just live down the street, just about, I think it takes me 5 minutes to get here. So as a county, if y'all have any volunteer opportunities that we could pitch into, we'd be happy to help out. And moving on to some of the packets, or some of the pages that we have in this packet, I'll start with this Iowa one-pager. That just gives some of our updated numbers on it. It also gives some PHMSA regulations and requirements, and some of the ways Summit's going above our regulations to build the pipeline for safety. It also gives some examples of our regulatory bodies and people we have to permit through to get this pipeline going. On the second page, one of the big pushes we had going into the first round, we kind of wanted to explain the why and the basis of the project. There was a lot of safety questions. So we've kind of made a facts page with some frequently asked questions. The most important thing to us on there as we were progressing was some of the safety information on here. It just kind of breaks down, you know, we're gonna X-ray 100% of the welds on the project. I think we're regulated to X-ray 10%, so we've made a commitment to X-ray 100% of the welds. We're gonna hydrostatically test the line to 100% or 125% of its max PSI, once it's in the ground to check for its structural integrity. I think the only difference will be there's an HDD line or an HDD crossing that is going under Magnolia Street and the railroad in the county. That'll be hydrostatically tested above ground before it's pushed underground, just so, you know, we don't do a 30 feet deep horizontal directional drill and then have to pull it out if it doesn't pass its structural integrity test. So once things kick off and they're going to start hiring these people as we speak, there's going to be full-time staff based out of Ames, Iowa, and they're going to be constantly monitoring the pipeline in conjunction with a full-time SCADA system. So they're going to be able to detect any change in temperature, pressure to a very small scale throughout the pipeline and determine where it's at. And then, you know, determine whether blocking valves need to be shut down and somebody sent out there to check it. So it's going to be a very full-time monitor system. The staff will be full-time as well. There's also going to be people hired throughout the project area who are going to be stationed for maintenance and to help out with any issues, first responders. That they'll be in charge of flying the line every 2 weeks. There's certain regulations we have to meet as far as moving smart pigs through the line at certain periods of time and smart tools, cleaning tools. And so that'll all be followed, and we'll have a full-time staff throughout the project area that lives within the area to do that. Then I've added a map in here, and that just shows the line throughout the county. At a zoomed out view, I don't think much has changed. I know with landowners, they've made thousands of adjustments based on landowner needs and preferences to acquire some of the easements. So zoomed out, the route is very similar to what it has been, but there might be some minute changes when you really zoom in based on where we were last time to make sure these easements match the landowner's preference. And so with that, if y'all have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Do we hire an engineer as a board for the county to oversee what work you do in the county?
I think the county can hire an ag inspector. I think that is the one I'm definitely aware of, that once the ag inspector is hired, once we get our IUB permit, they can start billing hours. I think you send some paperwork over to the IUB once the permit's completed, and then the county bills the IUB, who bills us for the ag inspector's work. They're going to be throughout the project scope, making sure that we're following regulations as far as separating topsoil. It's not too wet to cut. They're really the county's eyes and ears as far as moving through the property. But as far as inspection agencies go, I think that that's still an option as well. But
And you pay that bill?
I think so, but don't quote me on that.
That was the way it was presented.
We pay the ag inspector bill, I know for sure.
Okay.
But the additional inspectors for like road crossings and stuff, I'd probably have to look into. I don't want to lead you astray. I know the ag inspector for sure, though.
Okay, the next question I have has to do with like local, maybe union workers.
Yes.
Do you hire the local or do you bring them in? What's your?
Yeah, our strategy from the beginning, especially being an Iowa-based company, is to hire as many locals as we can. And of course, you know, this project being as big as it is, sometimes we do have to hire outside firms. But they start in Iowa, and you know, I know most of our land agents are Iowans, and a lot of our construction crews, if we're able to bring them on, that's the plan. I don't have an exact number of the Iowans hired. I definitely know within the state, especially with logistics and just the amount of people we will need, we've had to branch out a little bit, but I know they're pulling in as many local people as they can for this work. So we hope it brings a lot of jobs for Iowans.
Question, is former Governor Branstad your lobbyist for your company?
Ooh. What was his name again? Is it
Branstad?
Branstad? I think he works within the company in some capacity. Now, personally, I haven't seen him around, but I know at the beginning he was kind of involved in helping us get off the ground. I don't know what capacity he's with us right now.
Okay, do you consider yourself a green company?
Yeah, I would think when we started this process out, a lot of it has to do with bringing ethanol into the green energy realm to help ethanol complete the.
CO2 is a naturally occurring gas.
Mhm.
Tell me what is the problem with CO2 in the atmosphere?
Yeah, well, a lot of the issues that we're facing and the ethanol plants are facing, and one of the main reasons for this project in the first place is the new carbon markets or the low carbon markets that are popping up throughout the United States, and Canada, I believe, has already adopted this. It's going to be a ball that rolls downhill quickly, and this puts a big damper on the ability for ethanol plants who haven't lowered their CO2 score, their carbon score, to sell into these markets. But if they can lower them to the point that they'd like them to, or whatever the cutoff is, they can sell their ethanol into it for a premium. So this just bolsters the economy around the ethanol industry.
But all of that has to do with climate control, climate change, climate control, CO2 in the atmosphere, which, excuse me, isn't there a natural process that you can recycle carbon, CO2 in the atmosphere called plants? I'm not on board with capturing CO2 for any reason.
Need more greenhouses.
Yeah, and I think as on a zoomed out level, that's one of the issues. Is you can't get everybody to buy into the climate aspect of it,
I'm
which
not,
yeah,
right.
yeah, and I understand that. Our main push is to make sure the ethanol plants stay viable. So 53% of the corn that's sold to ethanol plants within the state of Iowa still has a place to go in the end of the day. Whether we're doing any good for the environment or not, we want to do good for the ethanol plants, which will in turn do good for the farmer. So there's a lot of money in local farms tied into that stuff getting to ethanol plants. So
So again, it all goes back to the green.
yes, which is more of a zoomed out version. I don't think they're going to adopt that. It has to do with the markets that are highly sold into by Iowa ethanol plants adopting these markets that kind of ties their hands.
Was it your company that was requesting eminent domain be used to acquire land for this pipeline project?
I think it's part of the process with the IUB, but our goal from the very beginning, and we're already at 84.85% of voluntary easement miles acquired. That's all voluntary. Our goal has always been to not use that. The process is way too long. We want to do right by the people we live next door to. Being based out of Iowa, that's not our goal at all. We want to work with landowners all the way through the process. Now, there may be some issues that we run into that are, title issues or just there may be certain scenarios, but we are not going to let it come down to we just didn't, negotiate right.
Okay, so where is your monetary return? I mean, where does that come from?
Yeah, it goes with the partnership with the ethanol plants. We get a little bit back from I think the 45Q tax credit that I think Trump signed into office, and then Biden increased a little bit. So we get a little bit back from that. But I think the main thing is we're taking, and I'd have to look into it a little. The numbers confuse me. I'm not an economist at all, but we take a little bit of the profit and divide it with us and the ethanol plant to make sure our business model secure and the ethanol plants are still being able to get their premium for being able to sell into these low carbon markets. So,
Are you at $88 a ton?
oh,
It
that I'm not.
was like 44, 45 bucks a ton, then it went up to 88. So
Yeah.
I've got a question on your pipes.
Yes.
Going under the highways.
Mm.
Do you sleeve that going under the highways?
I don't. I think we thickened the walls. Now DOT may have certain regulations that are a little bit different, and the railroads, of course, the DOT. We have to permit through DOT and the railroad. As far as sleeves, I'm not entirely sure about the sleeves. I know casing was an issue. We've kind of moved away from casing. As far as it's not necessarily a common practice anymore due to corrosion of the line and water sitting in there. But I would have to get with my construction manager or the construction chief on that.
I'd like to know.
Yeah, because I can get you. I brought my pen so I can write these things down a little bit. But to my understanding, we are just the coating of the pipe will be a little bit different, and the wall thickness will be different, and they're going to be pretty far underneath the roadways too. We were just discussing that as well. Like, we're gonna be at least 4 feet below the ditch line, which the ditch line may be 4 feet below the roadway. So for one, we don't want somebody to come through cleaning the ditch and hit our line, so we wanna make sure we're low enough on that. And then we're boring every road in the county. It'll be a guided bore, so we're gonna be well underneath, and we're not gonna open cut a single roadway in the county. So we're not gonna have to worry about backfilling or anything like that, so.
You've got 3 pump stations within the county?
These are 3 blocking valves. So, yeah, they're not pump stations. What
Okay.
they are, it's a safety measure. They're regulated to be within 20 miles apart. This is a new regulation, and we're well within that as well in a lot of cases. The reason why they may be closer, it's regulated in some instances, say, if we cross a body of water, which I believe, I can't remember what river this is over here, south of Hancock. Nishnabotna, yeah. So these two will be spaced out a little bit closer together because we're crossing the Nishnabotna. That'll be federally regulated. And then we have one down in the south end of the county, just north of Montgomery County. So those are a safety measure. Those are part of our like SCADA system full-time staff. If they notice any issues, if there's any problems at all, they can start shutting down blocking valves. That's just to, if there is, heaven forbid, even the slightest chance of a breach or a leak, they can section off that area pretty quickly.
What kind of pressure do you use to pump through them?
Oh, geez, it's been a long time since, I think our max PSI may run around 2100 PSI. We're gonna be well underneath that. I think we've changed some pipe diameters a little bit just so we can have more product moving through the line, but stay well underneath our max PSI. So
what are the dangers of a pipe break? That's CO2. Like I said, it's a naturally occurring gas. What are the dangers involved in that line breaking for any reason?
yeah, well, for one, we want people to make sure they do the run call anytime you're digging on your land. But the main danger in it is at the end of the day an asphyxiant. If you're standing right over the line and there's you strike it with a backhoe or something.
CO2 is heavier than the atmospheric air.
Yeah, it'll disperse pretty quickly, and we're still working on some dispersion models so we can help with EMA and some of the response times and first responders. So we're gonna have a dispersion study done to kind of have a better idea of like, where there'll be some areas where it sits low, but to my understanding, it disperses pretty quickly. Once it's out of the pipe, it wants to return back into the atmosphere as fast as possible. So, and I've seen some videos of some tests, and it looks like to my untrained eye of CO2 rupture that it disperses pretty quickly. So,
I've got a question about first responders.
Yes, sir.
Or small volunteer fire departments.
Mhm.
Are you doing any training with them?
Yes. We actually have, his information is down here at the bottom.
Okay,
Mr. Rod Dillon, he's been going around to, I think he started with like Doug at Emergency Management, and he's kind of getting the groundwork going. What do you need? How can we help? There's going to be specific training set up with first responders, local fire departments. We're going to be a part of the core system, or the core program, where we will sit in some of the rooms with first responders. And I've been a part of one before, and it's really good, where he throws a scenario at you and you work together but there's going to be trainings, yes.
what about equipment? Do we need any special equipment?
That is another thing they're going around and talking to emergency management and first responders for as well, and kind of getting an idea of what they have available to them right now. A lot of them will have a response plan to a rupture anyways, and they'll have a lot of the equipment they need, but that's another thing Rod's doing, is going around and saying, hey, what do you need? What can we start looking at getting for you?
Well, you talked about volunteerism, and our volunteer fire departments always need extra money or equipment.
Oh,
So
yeah, and that's another
keep
thing
that in
too.
mind.
That's, we've been wanting to invest in this communities a little bit. At the end of the day, this project is an asset to us as well. But we want to make sure safety's first and the community around it is taken care of. So,
Okay.
that is part of the plan.
My concern with the first responders would be our county deputies that are out. They need to be equipped as well, because
Yes.
they'll actually be the first ones on the scene.
Yeah.
Since you were in here in August, Riley, and did your presentation, have you signed on any more ethanol plants within the state?
I don't believe so. And I'm not a part of the business side of it very often. I've heard that they are negotiating constantly with other ethanol plants, so I know there's some ones pretty close to here that may, end up tying in eventually. They're gonna be under the same circumstances as all the other ethanol plants eventually, where they're gonna be faced with these new markets where they have to figure out what to do with their CO2 in order to sell into them. So I'm sure that's part of the discussion as well.
But currently, the plant located in Pottawatomie County is not participating.
Yeah, I have not seen them get signed on yet, nor have I seen a route variance from the ethanol plant yet. But that doesn't mean down the line, they may very well hook into us, or they may have a plan where, they don't have to hook into us. I'm not familiar with them yet, or what their situation is. So.
Yeah. But right now, your proposed pipeline is located 3 miles from my house. So
Yeah.
all of the concerns have been expressed, are greatly appreciated.
Yeah, and that's one of the things too. We want to come in and answer as many questions as we can. We're, even when we get 100% easements, and even when we got trucks hauling pipe in here, we don't want to stop having these conversations. So if y'all think, and I added my business card into the thing as well. So if y'all think of anything that you didn't think about here, or have some concerns that you wanted to just shoot me an email about, and I can send it up to a project manager. Feel free to do that anytime. And
Say you had a pipe break.
Yes, sir.
I would imagine would have to evacuate the area.
Yes, sir.
How large of an evacuation area are you?
That's gonna be all part of our dispersion area, and there's gonna be evacuation areas like for anhydrous ammonia, there's certain areas that they will evacuate out,
Are
or
you talking yards or hundreds of yards,
it may be a few hundred feet. It depends, like this line running through Pottawatomie County is only 8 inches wide, so it to my brain, that doesn't seem like it would release that much CO2 as opposed to some of the bigger lines. But all that's kind of subjective. If it were to rupture, it could be, down the line, the only thing we ever have happen is a little pinhole leak that they catch and repair. So, worst case scenario, I don't even want to speculate how far it would have to be, but to my untrained mind, when thinking about those things, it has to be a little bit closer than like a gas, or even an oil, or a anhydrous ammonia. Hopefully the dispersion study clears a lot of that up, so we can have an actual.
Has the Iowa Utility Boards issued a permit yet for you to
We're-
start?
We're still in the process. They just scheduled the hearings. I don't think they've even released the dates, but we had a big hearing prior to releasing the hearing dates. So I think it'll be kind of like a trial style hearing before they even consider granting us our permit. A lot of discovery, a lot of witness testimony. Just about everything we've done up to this point will be scrutinized by the state, making sure we're following federal regulations. So it's quite a process. Like, we're hoping early summer, but we're not sure. It's definitely up to the state on that end.
Okay, one last question.
Yes, sir.
The other 16%,
Yes.
are they feeling pretty confident in getting them on board?
Yeah, I would say, especially given the success we've had in the county so far, and being well over the state average, and there's gonna be some people that it takes a little bit more time and working with, and I know there might be some people who are, the other 15% of people in the county may very well be under negotiation right now, where there's been offers, counter offers, red lines, so it's definitely a process, and and there may be a couple that have said absolutely not, which I think they're respecting. So, but yeah, I think they're very confident that we can close in pretty quick on it.
I'd like to see us use some local labor.
Yes, I would too as well. Yeah.
All right. Any other questions?
I'll have to sharpen up my
Comments?
spade.
Pardon?
I'll have to sharpen up my spade.
Yeah.
That ain't gonna work, Melvin.
Sounds like the legislature's gonna take this up, this session too.
I'm sorry, what was that?
The legislature's gonna take up these carbon pipelines across the state? I don't know what their plan is.
Well, I think the legislation's gonna deal with eminent domain, whether they would allow them to use eminent domain or not. I think that's the issue.
I
Yeah.
think safety and security is another.
Well, yeah, that too.
That's one of the biggest things out there is the safety and security
Yes.
and putting the soils back correctly.
Yeah,
That
on
was-
that note, we are doing soil testing. Sorry to keep dragging on and rambling. We are doing soil testing to determine how deep the topsoil is. And this, I think they're doing just about 4 tests per parcel of land. So we'll know, and the ag inspector will know exactly how deep that topsoil is. So when we remove it, it just keeps everything above board, so.
Isn't there a 5 or 10 year period where you pay that farmer on his crops?
Yeah, I believe it might be, well, what we started with was kind of a staggered approach. I think it boils down to 240% crop loss, lump sum with the easement signing. So it was like 164, it tapered through to make sure that they were covered for the crop loss. Because we do determine that there will be some crop loss for the next few years while
think,
everything recovers.
Iowa State's doing a study on compaction. We
Okay,
got that request from ISAC about, I think, $600 to, I don't know if we contributed to that or not, but they were gonna support Iowa State to do this compaction study.
that was one of the biggest concerns.
And,
Okay.
yeah, having the ag inspector will be a big deal, I think, for the county's eyes and ears, so. But yeah, if I can answer any other questions, if not, thank you all so much for your
Private,
time.
thanks for coming in.
Yeah,
Keep
and,
us updated.
yes, sir.
Like
Yep.
to hear you were hiring local.
Yes, sir. That's, I'm gonna actually take that to Summit and make sure that I get that as one of the main
I
concerns.
appreciate that.
Thank y'all so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Linda Swoley, Tax and Deed Specialist, Auditor's Office. This is for the Coulter board meeting as a Coulter and CNR district.
Yeah, just approve the minutes from December 30th,
Okay?
or December 20th, I'm sorry.
December 20th, yes.
I'll make that motion.
Okay?
Second.
Got a motion and second by Mr. Wickman. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, signify by saying no. Motion approved. Discussion or decision to approve invoice from Bolton and Menk Inc. for the CNR district levy.
That's the Cincinnati and Rockford
Correct.
district. Right. I was just FYI for
Yes.
Susan and
That's
Jeff.
the township.
Your meeting now is, you two are meeting now, you 5 are meeting now as district trustees, drainage district trustees. For right now, you're not a supervisor, you're a trustee of the CNR district. Did you know you had an extra job to do?
Always I know.
You'll have more.
My wife has a few more.
Okay.
And that's with the Harrison County.
There are
Trustees.
partners in this.
Yes.
Linda, the funds for that, they're at the state right now, right?
Right.
Will that come through to Potawatomi County or is that going to Harrison?
We're getting it transferred here we're in the process of getting it to Potawatomi County.
So then we pay them once we receive the funds?
Yes,
So who submits the claim to the state?
We do,
we do, yeah.
we will.
Are we ready to submit that?
Dixie and Becky are working with Terry Brown.
Terry Brown.
Terry Brown at FEMA, is that who he is?
Mhm.
And getting the process worked out, because originally it was that Harrison County was drawing down the money, but now, since we are the lead county, Dixie and Becky and Linda will be doing that.
But I was thinking he's with Iowa Homeland Security and then the money's coming from the flood fund is how this is
But
supposed to be.
he's the point of contact at the state level,
Okay.
Terry Brown. I don't know who.
Are they, and I'm not that familiar because we didn't get flood fund monies, I guess we do now. But the flood fund don't pay this directly, it comes to us and then we pay.
Yeah, it'll have to come through the trustees
Okay.
to pay the bills.
This is part of the 22 million we have for the levy.
Could be, I don't know how much it was for that, but there's like, what'd they
John
say,
Harris.
3 miles
Well,
for this
right.
new
Remember we
levy?
talked
Yeah,
about
I
that?
don't remember what the total money was, but,
I think we got 21 million from the state, 21 and some odd change, and we were to pay out of that.
but we're not gonna issue warrants that we have to allow, we're gonna let somebody else buy them and then
Pay interest.
pay interest.
I talked to Liz from Harrison County. She said that turnaround on that money is, really quick. Like within 2 weeks, she'll have the money, so
Okay.
we can just, issue the check. And if it's any longer, I suppose, do a warrant.
And Linda, we are transferring that
What will they pay?
to
the
us from
interest?
Liz,
They're working
correct?
on getting
We
that
talked
transferred
about
to us.
that.
Money through us, and then we'll pay Bolton Menke.
Right. But I mean, did Liz say, they don't pay interest to flood fund, do they?
She didn't mention something about interest, but I didn't, catch it. I guess you don't wanna, let it drag on
No,
too
we're gonna
long.
wanna make sure we check on that.
I'll make a motion, Brian, to pay the invoice from Bolton and Menk of $58,198.48 once we receive the funds from the state.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to pay the bills as we get the funds. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed, say no. Motion carried.
Now, I did talk to Liz this morning about, I was wondering why this claim has gotta come to the trustees. Are we gonna have to do that in the future? And she said, no, probably not, because any claims will just run like a regular, warrant, like any other drainage district we've done. So you won't have to meet unless there's some, change order or something from
Now-
the engineer.
Yeah, we did.
Did
No, we did.
Harrison County approve this too?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, they've already proved this,
All
yes.
right.
That's why we put it on the agenda, because they thought that that's the way we wanted to do it, but I think going in the future, unless there's some big change, it'll just run as
Okay.
normal, like any other drainage district claim.
Okay, moving on. We got everything we need?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now you're
John
now you're
Rasmussen,
supervisors.
engineer, let's see, discussion and or decision to accept and approve highest responsible offer for the purchase of the Caledonia shop.
Great, so we're working through the process on some property disposals. Never done this in 2 decades, so it's all new to me as well. Feel like we've been through Iowa code and public notice. Brought Carrie with me to help explain the offices, offers you have in front of you to accept or deny. I'll let
Okay.
Carrie take it away if I can.
I received 2 offers on the Caledonia shop. I believe you have copies of both, but you do have a summary page that I provided. So the first thing I'd like to do is just make one change to that. I received an addendum yesterday to offer number 1 that allowed for an escalation clause up to $80,100 in $100 increments. But it's still the highest offer, so it really doesn't change the dollar amount. And in addition to that addendum, they were agreeing to sign a binding agreement with the county that would exclude them from having to have a time of transfer prior to the sale. That binding agreement would attach to the deed and take the place of having that inspection that's required. The buyer would assume that responsibility. It was a discussion I had with Matt Wyant about how we could do that so that yep, I'm blaming you. So that we could sell the property without that being a requirement on it and to pass that burden along to the buyer. So there are 2 offers, literally $25 difference in price. Both parties have agreed to a closing date of January 24th, which is when John told me they would vacate the building there. Both cash offers, not subject to inspections. Very, very similar offers. Have any questions I can answer about them?
My question is, did each party know about the other offer to come $25 close?
Did not, yeah. So, 79,200 was the list price on it. So that was a full price offer based on the list price. The second offer, the one that's $2,500 higher, was just a random number they picked. Those, they do not know about each other. They each have different agencies that represent them. On the higher offer, that broker that wrote that offer is also the buyer, so he's buying it for himself. The offer number 2 was represented by an agent at Key Real Estate.
And I don't understand the escalation clause that you were talking about.
So if offer number 2 had been higher, that would automatically increase offer number 1 in $100 increments up to and not to exceed $80,100. So a few $100 difference.
And the property is zoned,
Property is zoned A2, which is Agricultural Preservation District. But I was talking with one of the people who have an offer in on the property because they were discussing what their use of the property was going to be. Does that fit in with the zoning district that it is in? And it would appear as though at some point in time, there may have been an oversight done. The building was constructed more with the setbacks of the highway commercial district zoning. And so right now, as that building sits, it would be a non-conforming structure on the lot. So if it were damaged up to 60% of its value, it could not be reconstructed in the same footprint of where it is at. It would have to be moved to meet the setbacks of the A2 district. That lot is extremely small. It's only 0.34 of an acre out there. And so there was questions ranged from, could I build a house on it right now as it was zoned A2? You potentially could, but you'd have struggles with meeting the setback distance between a well and a septic system. Probably have to contact your neighboring property owner to get some more property at that time. The use of a personal use on the property would be fine. If it became something where somebody wanted to park business equipment or, friends had things that they wanted to park on it, and that way, again, it would need to be rezoned to the highway commercial district to meet those requirements out there. But so right now, as it being A2, there's a few challenges with it, but as long as it was for personal use, it would be fine.
I guess I was hoping that a commercial business would come in to acquire the property that would generate sales tax. That's always my thought, so.
Or property tax.
And property tax, that generate the sales tax.
I do know that buyer number 1 wants to use it for personal use for his motorhome storage. And I do not know what offer number 2's proposed use is.
I know offer number 2, it's in his backyard. He lives in the vicinity anyway.
Yeah, I do not know that.
So can you just walk me through so we published it, notice of this, and then the bids came in to you, Carrie, or to John, or who'd they come in?
To me, we listed the property on the 29th
Right.
and put it in the multiple listing service on the 29th. I received, both showings happened the same day. I received notice from both agents that they were going to be submitting offers on it. I received one late on the 29th and one on the 30th of December. And then talked to John, of course, that was holiday right in that time frame, but talked to John and let him know that I had 2 offers. And then we had a discussion about how we would proceed with presenting those to the board. My understanding all along is it would be your decision.
Right, okay, so those weren't basically sealed, they came in from either agents or brokers, those offers.
The only person that knew what those were me
Right.
until I submitted them to John.
Yeah, okay, so I didn't know if they were closed in an envelope and then somebody opened them up or what, but they come in like regular offers,
Right.
so,
Nope, I'm the only person that's seen them.
yeah. Okay, thank you.
Matt, they can change this to commercial.
The potential buyer could file an application with our office and change it. It would go through the planning commission for a recommendation, then back to the board of supervisors for approval if they so chose to bring it into highway commercial standards.
Would that require a septic?
So that's the time of transfer inspection that they talked about. That comes from the state of Iowa. State of Iowa, Iowa DNR came out, set of rules. Any property with a septic system who gets sold has to have a time of transfer inspection. There are 3 different agreements that we could potentially sign with a buyer or a seller on that. And one is just they know it's bad, so they're gonna sign an agreement for future installation. And so depending upon if it's discharging or not, they may not even be able to occupy the building until the septic is brought up to standards. The other one is for a demolition of the structure. If they know that they're going to demo the structure, or they could potentially cut all water from the structure and demo out the septic system. We sign those agreements with people. And then there's a weather delay. If there's, for some reason or another, the weather is causing them an issue on investigating the septic system, they can sign a weather delay with us on there. But with water being on the property and tied to the building right now, it does require a septic. We do have instances where this would be an instance where a person could install just a holding tank with an alarm because of the minimal use of the property. And so it's a tank with an alarm on it. Once it hits a certain level, the alarm, it's an audio visual alarm in the structure that goes off. They know they gotta call a pump truck out to come pump the system.
Okay, my concern is they can't come back to us and make the county do something with the septic, can they?
No, because they're signing the agreement.
We're selling as is, whereas, right?
Right. Happens all the time in our office.
Okay.
We sign probably 20 to 30 of these agreements a year.
Okay,
So, they'd also have to come and get a variance if they wanted to use something else on the property then?
Depending upon the use of the property, they would have to come in and file an application to have it rezoned from the A2 district to a commercial district.
And then get a conditional use permit too, or not?
Potentially, there's conditional uses that happen in the highway, commercial district. There's a list of them in the code. I can't name them all off to you, but
Right. Yeah.
it could be a principal use or it could be a conditional use.
and these people understand that.
Both of them were notified of that requirement and it becomes part of their offer.
Yes, and it's when caveat emptor comes in, is that right?
Say that again?
Caveat emptor, buyer beware.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll make that motion to,
Okay,
accept the highest offer for the purchase of the Caledonia shop of $79,225.
got a motion and a second to approve the
And
sale.
and the funds come back to the, land fund.
To what?
And the funds come back to the land fund.
Okay.
He doesn't do these stink eye, does he?
I seen that. Okay, got a motion by Mr. Wickman and a second by Mr. Jorgensen to approve the purchase. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed signify by saying no.
No.
Motion approved. Okay,
Does this require a resolution, Matt? It does.
it does, doesn't it?
All right, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 9-2023 for the sale of the Caledonia shop and authorize the chairman to sign the closing documents.
Okay, got a motion? Need a second again?
Second.
Motion and a second. Mr. Hauser, would you call the roll?
You bet. Chairman Shea,
Aye.
Supervisors Belt,
All right,
Wickman,
Aye.
Miller,
No.
and Jorgensen.
Aye.
And I wanted, my opposition is just purely because I believe the property will be used more for business purposes if it was sold to the second party. So that's my only,
We don't get to choose the buyer though, Susan.
no, that's true. But for the $25,
It was 2,500, wasn't it?
No, it's
25?
$25.
It was
Thank you.
$25.
and the way the motion was written was for the highest responsible offer. And when I factor in the part that there could be property tax valuation changes because of the commercial zoning for the use of ag equipment or for his land moving equipment, that changes the dollar amount. So that was my only thought.
John, when this does close, Tina should make sure Candy knows so we can get it off of our
Or you
inventory.
pass it back when he's done. Okay, moving on. Mark Shoemaker. Discussion or decision regarding the beaver issue in the county.
That was worded kind of funny, but that's all right.
That's okay.
Last month, the board had an agenda item, I think it was on December 20th.
Yes.
Bernie Bolton came in, talked about the beaver bounty that Shelby County has in place. I couldn't be at the meeting last month, but I was listening online and I had some comments online. And I knew conservation was gonna get involved if this moves forward, so I kind of wanted to be a little proactive about it. I was asked to gather some more information for the board, if you decide to move forward and pursue this. I did follow up with Shelby County, got a lot of information from them, how they handle their beaver bounty program. And I also contacted the DNR State Conservation Officer to make sure they didn't have any issues with a program like this, and they did not. He said that there's several counties across Iowa that do a program like this. He also mentioned maybe talking to the wildlife biologists in the region, and I did that as well. He was familiar with the programs. And depending on what happens and the amount of money, he said that there's a very healthy beaver population in Potawatomi County. He didn't see any issues with it. The only concern he had is that there's depredation officers out there that actually go in and trap other animals if they're nuisances. He said those people could not get paid for a program like this, so that's just something that we'll have to keep an eye on if we do move forward. So I kind of looked at it legally to make sure everything was okay. Everything is okay with it. I asked Bernie Bolton to come back and offer some more information. This is, I mean, it's set up to be more of like a management tool for certain areas, but you could use it anywhere across the state. Some of the other concerns that were brought up by the state conservation officer, and this is just something that I don't know if you just play it by faith, is that the beavers that are coming in or being harvested are being harvested in Potawatomi County. The form that we have established identifies potential landowners, their permission, and all that information that they would need to put on the form when they turn these items in to the county. I also identified Botnet Bend, Arrowhead, and Hitchcock as potential sites that people could come to prove that they harvested beaver in Potawatomi County. Bernie, you have anything else? I mean, this is strictly focusing on structures that are built in the county. A lot of them are on private property. We do have some on public property at Wheeler Grove, Farm Creek, Arrowhead. And then I know John I wanted John to stick around too, because we do have some culvert issues and some potential bridge issues that beaver might have an impact on.
So the deprivation officers, do they report how many do they take?
I think, yeah, that's a DNR program. I think there are people out there that kind of specialize in trapping, whether it be muskrats or beaver or any nuisance animal. And then they report that to the DNR. They wouldn't report that to the county. And I think they get paid a certain amount to do that, but they could not get paid like the bounty aspect of it.
Because they're employees of the state, right?
I don't know if they're employees, they may be contracted, yeah.
Okay, and then do they want us to give us, to them, our yearly numbers that we're,
I think it'd be good. I mean, we're gonna be keeping track anyway, so
right,
we will definitely do that, so.
okay.
Who will be the recipient of these captured creatures?
Well, it's not gonna be the whole creature, it's gonna be the tail.
Okay, I didn't want to go that far.
I know you didn't,
Well,
but
they're not gonna bring them into the auditor's office to get paid. are they?
yeah, that's where we planned is to have them come to the auditor's office. No, it's, all my park officers are certified peace officers. They have the ability to enforce, fish and game regulations across the county. They would be the ideal ones to receive these and confirm the harvest.
So you're gonna designate one on the east side, like Fenner at Hitchcock, or at Hancock,
Yeah.
and then maybe Ryan Penny at Narrows? or-
Yeah, I was, well, the
It doesn't
Narrows,
really matter, as
he'd
long as
be
you got
good.
the-
He's not, I mean, during this time of year, the park is not open all the time. So he may be at other locations, but, John Fenner at Bottom Bend, Dave Fisher at Arrowhead, and, we'll probably do like Chad Gravy up at Hitchcock. So we would have 3 locations in the county that people could come to for convenience. And then Ryan Penny would be available.
Bernie, in the initial, first phase of this, is the rate of $25 and the initial expense capped at $5,000, is that gonna cover us for the first year? This would be a 1-year trial type situation?
I really feel that it probably will because, normally the season is November 15th to April 15th. It's gonna get started here mid-January at the very best. Knowledge will go out to other people, the trappers, that it's available. So as a trial, the first year, I think we can probably work with that. We were really happy that Mark took a hold of this part of it as far as having designated places to go and the interest he's taken in it as well. I was a little like Mark, I did a little more work on it after being here the last time. Noted that there are several counties in the state of Iowa that have this working right now. Also, I actually found out in the United States, there's quite a few states that have counties in them that have beaver quotes. And in doing that, the only predator there really is to a beaver, it said, is alligator and crocodile, and we certainly don't need those up here, so let's go with this program.
And it's only gonna be half a trapping season, so I mean, it
Right.
started November 5th and goes to April 15th, so you're talking only 3 more months, but like you said, it might pick up. And the wildlife biologist said he didn't know if another $25 would impact it or not, get people out there, but he said it was worth a try. Yeah, so,
And we've heard also that finally there is, after the TV show Yellowstone and some of the others, they've actually pushed the price of beaver whole systems up a little bit, and they hadn't been worth much of anything, and now they've moved up the price on that too.
yeah, well, and then another thing that I was talking to John Fenner about, the water levels are so low that you might not have a lot of activity
Right.
with the beaver this year anyway, so it might be worth looking at how it goes this next 3 months and reevaluate and do something next year.
I'll be truthful with you. I've been in Potawatomi County 25 years. I have yet to see a beaver in Potawatomi County. I have to go around, I live in town, I have to go around so I can miss them, the turkey and the deer that are in Council Bluffs proper. So
You need a turkey bounty?
Something. If I wanted to go turkey hunting, I could open my kitchen window and shoot.
You can go up
You
to
get out
Scott's
of the park,
backyard.
And the beavers, they're out
They're out there?
John, have we got any damage?
We do occasionally, yeah, here or there, it's almost always in the same streams or.
It's the drainage tubes and under the bridges and stuff like that.
Well, it gets out in the farm fields too.
Well,
we have
when
to go
tear
clean them
one
out.
Or if water takes it out in the spring of the year, then they're underneath the bridges where everything gets piled up underneath there, then they have to go clean the debris out, even if it wasn't, the beaver caused it up the stream a ways, but it's still another process that we have to look at too, so.
Is there a value to beaver pelts anymore these days?
There isn't, they said, that's what I was talking about, they've picked up a little bit, they said the last 2 months after Yellowstone come
We're gonna have
forward, some
beaver
of the
hats
others.
again. Get a beaver hat.
They may want the tails with one.
So
Tim, did you have
these
a
will be
comment?
county funds
Yeah.
Yeah.
from,
Hold on. Tim?
Bernie, would you be willing to come back, once this, season ends and give us your personal assessment or opinion of the?
Be happy to do that.
All right. With that, Mr. Shea, I'll make a motion that, we approve a rate of $25 per,
from the general
per
fund.
beaver, not to exceed $5,000. The funds come from gaming. And, this is a 1-year, trial project. We'll work with East
Now,
and
this
West.
motion says general fund, but you want it to come from gaming?
That's right.
All right.
Okay, got a motion, I need a second.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve $25, not to exceed $5,000 for a 1-year trial period. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion approved.
Who is our wildlife biologist?
Matt Nelson.
Is he in Atlantic or where's he at?
I think he's down by Riverton.
Okay.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks, that was fun.
Bernie, thanks for coming in.
No problem. I'm very happy that you fellows went ahead and 3 or 4 of you got to see that on the tour that day.
Yes.
The amount that they piled up under a couple places and under a bridge even on county lines.
Yep. That was surprising. I've seen more since we were on that tour. I've seen some big dams, so. Okay, we're gonna go into discussion on board members' assignments for our 2023 representative appointments. You've all got these, sheets, and we'll go one by one, okay? We'll need a primary and an alternate on this. The first one up is Advanced Southwest Iowa Corporation. I'd like to stay on that if I could.
I'd like to be the second alternate, if possible.
Currently, I am the president of that organization. I stay on 1 more year as the, past president.
Okay,
So we need one person for that.
I would like to be on that.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
So now the question I have, you have meetings, are they public meetings? Can I attend a discussion group or?
It'd have to be posted if Brian happened to show up too.
Or I could step aside because it's a non-voting deal for me.
Okay.
I could let you
Yeah,
go once in a
There is some
while.
issues I have with some of those sponsors of this corporation, so.
Well, okay.
Not a problem.
Susan?
Oh, I was just gonna say, jumping ahead, we've got the part on the agenda to talk about any meetings that we've attended to kind of update everybody else on the board as
Correct.
to what has happened.
And that's what this'll be. I would like to get that taken care of. Okay, the next one up is Council Bluffs Airport Authority. Scott, you were on that?
Yeah. What's a non-voting deal? Non-voting. Typically on Wednesdays at 5 o'clock, I believe.
4 o'clock it says on here, Scott.
4? Okay. Switched it then. What's
Okay.
4? Yeah.
Would you like to stay on that?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. You need a second?
You're looking at me.
I'm looking at you.
Well, put me in wherever you need me.
Well, don't say that. We'll get you picking up trash in the ditches. Okay, the Conservation Board. Right now, it's Wickman and Shea. I'd like to stay on that.
So would I.
But it's non-voting.
Correct. You guys have a
And I
lot of
think,
interest.
doesn't Jeanette normally post those, on the agendas, those future
Correct.
meetings?
Yes.
So that if a third person does want to show up, it's been posted and.
Oh, so that works at the bottom when they do that?
She does not post those.
She
It's at the
doesn't-
bottom, it's a reminder.
No. Mark Shoemaker, Conservation posts.
Post the agenda, but wouldn't that fulfill the requirement? We can find out
Them are
next
just
week.
reminders at the
There's
bottom.
reminders,
is what
but
they
it's
are.
still,
Those are public meetings though, aren't they?
Yes,
but it's just if three of you show up, you wanna make sure. We can ask that question next week at NCO school.
I would certainly like to attend if
they've
possible.
always got interesting stuff going on, I'll tell you that. Okay, E911 board, I've been on that, and I'd really like to stay on that.
I'd like to sit on that position too as a second.
We have a vote on that, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Just one vote, is that what we have?
Yes,
And then the sheriff's got a vote?
yes. Okay,
They only meet, what do they meet, just
2 or 3 times a year, is it?
Yeah.
Usually in
At the
January,
mo-
February.
Just to do the budget mainly.
So who's on that?
Shay and
I-
Miller?
You're coming off, Scott?
That's fine.
Okay.
Well, I guess it was on there, Robert Anderson. Oh,
okay, let's go to
Been a
the
long
East
time
Pot
since we met.
Soil and Water Conservation. That's Bernie's deal.
I would take Roby's spot if that's okay.
That's non-voting.
That's correct.
And I'd like to be the alternative.
Okay,
I think that's open to the public also, I think, those are.
okay, the EMA board, I've been on that. I'd really like to stay. And then Schultz was second. We need a second on there,
I'd like to be the second.
okay?
And is that just one vote?
Yes, it's a one vote. The 4th Judicial District, it was Belt and Miller is what we put on here for, I think they had to know. Are you
Well,
guys
you're not
okay?
going down the list that's on our agenda then.
Yeah, we approved that one last week.
Okay. Because they needed that sooner.
Okay, but you guys are going off a different sheet then.
Oh, we're going off this one,
No, but I'm just saying on our agenda.
on that, okay,
You're going off the 20.
this one,
That's okay, we'll stay right on that sheet, Brian.
Okay, no, that's fine. I just,
okay. Because it's got the times and everything,
yeah.
the day and the time. Golden Hills, RC&D,
You might wanna.
that was Groby and Belt.
It was, but last time I talked to Michelle, before she left, they were trying to reorganize their board, so was Kara?
They've got 4 new people out there, I believe it is.
Yeah, because historically, they always put supervisors on because back when it was federally funded, they put supervisors on hoping that they could get some money out of the counties, which they never did. And, but when I was talking to Michelle, now it's not federally funded anymore, they're their own nonprofit.
Mhm.
And they were considering maybe changing up their board where it didn't have to be a supervisor. So you might want to talk to Kara and see if they are asking for a supervisor to be on it. But it's an open meeting, I guess anybody could go, whether you can vote or not. That's their board's bylaws changes.
Okay.
So wasn't Kara
Are we
supposed
a
to?
voting member on that?
Yes, but, and since Kara's taken over, Karen Morgan
Yeah.
now is the one, and Lord, you said 4, we actually have 6 new employees in that office now.
Oh, okay.
And I think you're gonna find one of you supervisors should fill Lynn's place, because I think they're going to be using, still have to have some checks signed. See, originally Michelle was thinking about going to an agency and having the checks all written there. The board didn't care for that when they looked at the cost and what it was going to do. So we are still doing them in-house, of which this person does them every 2 weeks and once in a while one in between. And there's a certain amount of the ones on the federal funding and some of the state funding, Lynn also had to sign with me.
Okay.
If they're over a certain amount, anything over
So
5,000.
you think that
They had to have both
Kara, you
of our
think the
signatures.
board still needs a
Right.
county
They
supervisor?
they decided at the board meeting they were gonna go back and leave it like it was, not change over.
Okay.
So I think it would be a benefit.
You got more updated news than mine's like 6 months old.
And that's another one of my free gratis deals where I write 50 to 75 checks every 2 weeks. And so,
Well,
That's fun.
Yeah.
if needed, I'd like to be the primary for that.
Okay.
that
Anybody else
worked
want
well
to be
because you'll
second?
be close enough. That's what they liked about Lynn. He was close enough. They could call and get them signed anytime, and you would
Oh.
be close enough. That would make it very handy
Yeah.
to stop in. Because those checks aren't necessarily done every 2 weeks. They're done when necessary.
Okay, we need a second for that.
Well, I offer to take Lynn's place, wherever it was needed, so. if
Okay,
anyone else is
so that'd be,
available,
you'd be second on that?
You must have not ever missed, because you never asked me to go to one of those.
No. And Susan, you'll have to ask them if we're still a voting member, okay?
I think she will be.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure she will be.
okay, Hungry Canyons.
Just real quick, so how many people are on that? Or how many counties are on that?
On the Hungry Canyons?
No, the Golden Hills RC&D.
Oh, now you're gonna catch me off guard on that one. There's,
We got Page and Fremont.
I believe that's correct.
Not Harrison and Mills?
I never did go to a meeting, so I don't know who all was there.
Okay.
Well, don't they do some stuff in Cass too, Bernie?
What's that?
Don't they do some work in Cass?
Yes, a little bit, yes.
Okay.
Susan thinks there's 5 counties?
There's probably more than that.
Sounds right. I'm not gonna guarantee that.
Okay.
When you spoke of Hunger Canyons, there's 21 in there, but, and once in a while, 22, but
Okay, next up is Hungry Canyons. It was Groby and Shea. And Jeff, do you want to?
Well, question, Brian, are you limited to the number of committees that you can get involved with? Because I do have a list
No,
of these.
you don't want to overload yourself either,
Well,
because
like I said,
you'll do a lot of meetings.
Okay, I would be willing to fill in, but at this point, I'd like to see if I could get on the committees I was looking to get on before I commit myself to anything else.
The Hungry Canyons, they meet.
quarterly meetings, 4
Quarterly?
times a year.
Okay.
2 of them will be tours, the other 2 are in-house. John's been president of the Hungry Canyons Executive Committee, what were you, 4 or 5 years, John? And he's still there's always county supervisors from every one of the 21 or 22 counties, and county engineer.
You will?
Yeah.
Okay,
Where do they meet at?
It's moved around since we do tours twice a year, the tours will be wherever John picks up the area that he wants to take us on tour buses to see. The 2 in-house meetings quite often will be, I'm going to say Atlantic, possibly Red Oak, Shenandoah. Even though it's a large area, we know that we do not get the people from the south end to drive clear to the north end, and the people from the north end to drive clear to the south end. So we try to keep it in the middle part of the counties, since it goes all the way up along the Missouri River.
Are we voting members on that then, or is John?
Yes.
You get a vote too?
The board will have, they have an executive board they elect there.
Okay.
It just depends.
Okay.
It's not hard to get onto if you want to.
No, I just was
No,
curious
we-
whether we,
Should I say that?
I mean, do you
You're
vote,
right.
do you vote for us, John, usually, or?
I'm not on the executive board currently. Membership votes on things, but I'm
Okay.
not part of the executive board right now.
The executive board is just made up of 5 people, and those 5 people, 2 have to be supervisors, and 2 have to be county engineers, and 1 soil and water commissioner.
Okay.
And that can even be liberal, they can slip over to 3 and 2 and not have a water commissioner if they see fit. They see fit not to change the water commissioner. Russ Brandis I was a few years, Russ Brandis was several years, and I'm back on again because of the continuity with the whole programs and what we do with soil and water. And with idols especially, we get that pulled in a lot closer if we have soil and water commissioners involved.
Okay.
Idols pays a little bit closer attention.
All right, moving on, the Lus Hills Alliance Board, I've been on that. I'd like to stay. Anybody has any objections? I do, very interested in that. Groby was second. I don't know that I ever seen him. A lot of the meetings are up in Pisgah. So,
You know how to get to Pisgah?
Well, I mean, they do ask for an alternate, just in case.
okay,
I will take that on, Ryan.
okay. You'll be the alternate? Okay, MAPPA board,
We took care of that last week.
right?
Right.
Belton Miller. The mental health and what's DS?
Department of Human Services, General Assistance. We took care of that last week, too.
That was Wickman and Jorgensen.
Could I ask a follow-up question on the MAPPA board? So
Yes.
MAPPA is the metropolitan, and they carve out a circle around Council Bluffs. We're also part of their regional planning agency 18, which is kind of the rural part of Pottawatomie County. Is it gonna be the same member for MAPPA and RPA 18? I'll need to submit those names so you get.
I really would like to think so that we kind of,
They meet about the same time, right?
No,
They meet quarterly, it's like the second Wednesday. At 11. And
that
that
would
meeting's
be
not
up to
long
Belton
too.
Miller. Would you meet? Do you want to do that?
I don't know, if you wanna meet do the RPA board, I can do the MAPPA one and, get you that rural perspective on the RPA.
We are voting members on both those, correct?
Yes.
I
A
never
voting
get-
proxy.
I never
if you're
had an
not.
invite to it, so Justin must have been doing that.
I didn't hear what you said.
I never got any invites for that, so Justin must have been doing it.
Yeah, Justin was on that. And if you guys aren't there, I vote proxy for the board. So
Okay.
there's actually 2 votes for Pot County.
Transportation in the rural area is the key concern of mine, so.
Okay, good. And you two can work out which one
Yeah.
goes and who gets to vote on what.
Well, yeah.
Okay, the PACE,
I would like to volunteer for that.
okay. That was Groby and Schultz.
It's a non-voting deal.
Who would be second?
I could be a second.
Okay. The 712 initiative, that was Schultz and Belt,
What's a non-voting deal too?
okay? So, was that your motion to do it?
What's that? Oh, I've sat on there before.
That is an important, committee to be on. That 712 initiative, Pottawatomie County has, in the past, abated all taxes on, some properties that 712 was able to put back in the market and paying taxes again. They also work on renovating, buildings and put them back, on the tax rolls, like the old Iowa Closed building
Yes.
is now, I can't remember how many units are in there, it's like 10, 12, 17, something like that. So, I mean, they do a tremendous job, and, they have funders, and they're working on more funders, so.
So Scott, do you want to stay on that one? I would like to serve on that
Sure,
committee and some.
no, you certainly can.
Okay, you'll be
It's-
first.
There's
We
no,
need a second.
we don't get a vote on it.
No vote, but
Vote on
it's
it.
very interesting.
The change maker.
You wanna do the second on that?
No, you are.
No, why me? You never sat on it.
All right, I'll make a motion that Scott's the second on that.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well.
No, I'm just not gonna be able to make that meeting.
You don't even know when it is.
Pardon me?
You don't even know when it is yet. I'll back you up, Susan.
Okay.
Okay, Pot County Trails Board, I've been on that and I'd like to stay. We are a voter. Anybody want to back it up?
I'll do that.
Promise Partners. Let's see. That was Belt and Schultz.
One more there.
You want to stay?
Okay.
Who's going to back him?
Miller?
Okay. Thank you, Susan. Southwest Iowa Juvenile Services. That was Groby and Belt.
I'll take Roby's place.
Need a second on that.
Miller?
Just if you can't make one of these meetings, just, are we voting members on that?
Yep. There's, probably 7 counties on the 2080.
I think it's 9.
9? You think there's 4 traditional, maybe 9?
That's, yeah, it's the whole judicial district.
That's the little building over here for the juveniles, sits next to the Veterans Building.
Their minutes are published in the non-paral.
Yeah.
They're, look like short meetings.
Okay, SWPCO and SWITA. Groby was on that.
Right, I'm going for Veterans Affairs right below that, so.
That's out of Atlantic.
I can do SWPCO.
Okay. Anybody back? Okay, Veterans Affairs.
As the only veteran on the board, I'd like to volunteer for that.
I'm okay with that. I would back you on that. Are we voting on that, you guys?
No,
The commission votes.
Right,
there's a closed session, you don't sit in on that.
correct. Board of Health, I've been on that. I kind of enjoy that if no one else wants it. Let's see, you back me on that, Scott? No? You want to continue?
Yeah, that's fine.
I think I've been to them all. West Central Community Action. That was Groby and me.
They meet up in Harlan.
I know, that was always a tough one for me. Groby was pretty adamant about being on, he went to a lot of those meetings.
Well, like I say, I'll take Lynn's
You'll do
place.
that?
Yeah.
That's,
I'll back you on that.
Okay.
are you familiar with where that's at in Harlan and Jeff?
Harlan was always my arch enemy when I was in high school. So, yeah, I know Harlan very well.
It'll be causing no trouble up there.
Well, it's on the way out of town going, I call it east, the building.
I think it
East
used
or
to be-
west?
I call
Over
it-
by the pork plant?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you have, I thought you went out there once.
No, there was a meeting somewhere else.
You go into
once.
that 4-way off of 59 and then take a right and it's on your way out of
Keep
town.
going east.
Towards Harlan.
Okay, West Pot Soil and Water District Conservation.
I'd like to stay on that if I can.
Okay,
I'll back that up.
okay. WIDA, I've been on that.
I would like to serve on
Okay.
it, and I'd like to resurrect that. We'll see
Okay.
if we can move it forward.
I'll back you on that, okay?
Sounds great.
Okay. The Workforce Investment Board,
It's Workforce Development Board is what it is.
okay?
How often do they meet, guys?
I don't know, it's like 17 counties now.
At Iowa, you meet at Iowa Western?
No, they meet up in, oh, shoot.
This says Avoca.
No, this ain't.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
This ain't right,
No, no,
Low
I'm
tall.
looking at the one above it.
but they meet up in like Holstein, Iowa, most of the time.
Way north?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I did mostly go either on Zoom or,
Are you staying on it?
well, go since up to,
You,
I mean, I don't know where it's gonna go. It's been a mess, to be honest with you.
I'll back you on it.
Okay.
Okay, Pottawatomie County Quarterly Department Head. I would like to go on to that.
I've been attending them too. I'd like to stay there.
Is that a voting,
No, no.
just a discussion?
Just information. So, I mean, if she'd need to post it if
Okay.
some of you are gonna go.
Okay, the next one is the Pot County Operations and Policy Committee. Let's see, that was Belt Wickman. I wouldn't mind going to that.
You can take my spot. They usually meet on Thursdays. But probably maybe once a month, maybe once every 2 months.
Well, as needed, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, Pot County Wellness Committee.
I served on that too. I'd like to stay there if I can.
Anybody?
Miller?
Okay. Okay, the IGH,
Iowa Group Healthcare Plan.
We did that
Okay.
already.
and that was Belt and Jorgensen.
That was Belt and Limerick.
Yeah.
On the new one, it says Belt Jorgensen. Okay.
So, I'm not volunteering, do I need to fill in some?
Are we,
Yeah, possibly.
You can certainly go.
No, like I say,
This is a once-a-year meeting in Des Moines.
the IGHCP,
Yeah, it's a help deal.
Iowa Group Healthcare Plan, it's our, and Janet talked about it last week.
okay,
But I think if you had two, what do you think if you had an alternate from the board? Janet's not she'll go, but we need one board member there also.
I'll take a second on that.
okay, Pot County Tourism.
I'd like to volunteer for that. Tourism is.
Good.
Focus on.
Who wants to second him?
I think we only get one vote, don't we?
Yeah, but you've been going. I tried to get Brian to jump in so I could get out of there, but
Should I leave you right on
I'm
there?
still running the meetings.
Should I leave you right on there?
No, you can put an alternate, but you're both,
I'll
two of you can go.
alternate. I'll second. The Capital Plan Committee. That was Schultz and Belt,
How often do they meet, Scott?
third Wednesday of the month.
Do they meet
No,
on
we haven't met for a while.
I would volunteer for that if nobody else wants to, or anybody has any objections to that.
The ROI, the Return on Investment Committee. That was Wickman and Schultz.
I'll stay on that.
I will back you. The What Should Be Committee, I would like to do that.
Susan, if you want to take my spot on that, you certainly can. If you don't want to, I'll serve. I'll serve on that with you, Brian.
What am I writing? You're in? These things will keep you bouncing. Okay.
We have one more, Brian.
Oh, that's right. The Iowa West Racing Commission.
Yeah.
They would like one of us on there.
I'd like to see Scott give that a shot, if it's okay with you guys. It requires a fairly extensive background check, and he might be the only one on the board that can pass.
It's an ex officio position where there is no voting,
Non-voting?
right? And
Are you interested in backing that?
I will back that, yes.
That's fine with me. Are you good with that, Scott?
Yeah, I think so. See when they are.
Oh, I did, I'm sorry.
Usually, it's a quarterly meeting, it's over lunch.
I sent an email to Brenda. There we go. She did send it. It is, sure. She said she's gonna answer it in 2 ways. Iowa West Racing meets at least 3 times a year, January, April, and October, more if needed. Meetings are over the noon hour, lunch provided.
Okay. All right, moving on. Discussion and or decision on public comment policy. I would like to move public comment from 2 minutes to 3 minutes to give that extra minute to people. I really think that's an important extra minute. And I'd really like to do that. We done it in Crescent where they had 3 minutes, and it just gave a little more voice to the people, because I think you get up at that podium and it takes you 30 seconds to,
Yeah, just to give your name and address.
and you kind of, and then you get going and then it flows. So I think that extra minute will help people to speak. And I really think that's an important part of our addressing our board. So
I will make that motion to extend our public comment policy from 2 minutes to 3 minutes.
I will second that.
all
I
right,
would think that the board chair should have leeway to give additional time if he feels it's so needed, I guess, so. But
Okay.
that's just my own.
I got a motion and a second to approve the 3 minute public comment period. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed signify by saying no. Thank you, motion approved. Okay. One other thing I want to do on our committee appointments is once a week, I want to come through. We all go to a lot of meetings, and a lot of us don't know what you're doing. I would like us all to, I don't care if it's a 10-second or 5-minute thing, I would really like everyone to update what you went to, just a brief synopsis of what happened, so we're kind of all on the same page. We need to all speak a little better together, and I think that's important. So, is there any objections to that?
Well, it'd be nice to get those agendas for all those meetings.
That'd be good, then I'll
You know,
ask
and have those.
Jeanette to put those in our packet.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
That kind of summarizes some of the.
I think it can help all of us to make a better decision.
If you saw the agenda, you might ask that representative a question that you had from that agenda.
Correct.
Yeah, might help the report.
I think that'll help a lot. Okay, we got the receipt filed. You've all seen that. Now we got a public comment period, and I gotta read this, right?
If anyone signed up.
Anybody sign up?
Just T1.
Okay.
Now, Rick, you can read that.